Afternoon, fellow pipe smokers. Just having a bit of a break, having a pipe, having a smoke. This is a little Mr. Brog pipe. A very sort of simple, plain little pipe, but in the shape that I really like. And it's got good tobacco in, so I guess that's what matters. I just thought I would talk a little bit about volunteering. I know that perhaps some people probably already do that, but I've always been a really big advocate for volunteering, and I think it's really important actually that people understand what that relationship is and the responsibilities of kind of both parties concerned. And a lot of the time when people are volunteering, they're looking to improve their CV, resume, and their skills because they want to advance or get a job or work in the field in which they're volunteering. And that's completely acceptable, and that should be understood by employers. And the other thing is that the lifespan of a volunteer, I think on average, is about 6 months to a year. And that again is something that an organisation or a company needs to understand when they're taking on a volunteer, that person is looking for paid work and that they are doing this as a temporary measure, as a fill-in until they get some skills and they can then go and get a job and work in their own right. And again, that needs to be understood. And I think the third important thing is that a volunteer should never be out of pocket. They're giving up their time. So again, one of the kind of contractual obligations of an employer is to make sure that they pay the expenses for that volunteer, to travel to a particular thing or do something. And normally they'll pay for things like a lunch and stuff like that. And that again is part of the responsibility of an employer towards a volunteer. So those things all being said, volunteering is a really good way for somebody to improve their skills and to get into the jobs market and to get a career off the ground. And I've volunteered myself in the past, and it's really helped me to get jobs and improve my CV. It's never been a bad thing. So that's the good stuff. But I should say that I have a few concerns regarding volunteers. I've noticed a trend, and there's a bit of a trend going on at the moment that a lot of organisations and sort of projects and that are looking to use volunteers as a alternative form of full-time worker or as cheap labour. And volunteering was never about that. It was never meant to be about that. And the danger of that is that if you set that precedent, what you'll end up doing is you'll end up actually taking full-time jobs from people with skills and experience who are in the workplace. So I'm actually against that idea and against that use of volunteers. It's not how they're supposed to be used. I guess in the sector that I work in, which is connected with sort of charities and things like that, we're always looking for people to help us and to volunteer and assist us in exchange for getting the skills, in exchange for paying their expenses, in exchange for building their CV, and in some cases actually in exchange for employing those people ultimately in the end. So that is the right way to use volunteers, and that is the responsible way to use volunteers. But I've noticed this trend creeping in where I'm seeing massive contracts which are huge amounts of money, and you could pay some really skilled and qualified people to do the work for those particular contracts. But what they've done is they've kind of farmed them out to organisations within the community, and they're entirely relying on the use of volunteers to then subsequently recruit or engage with other people in the community and essentially do this work for free. And I personally am against that. I think that is the wrong way to do it. I think that sends a very negative message, and ultimately I think it's going to take jobs away from people who have probably been working in these sectors for years and years and years, and also potentially could reduce the wages and salaries that are paid to those kind of people. So we'll have to see how this one plays out, really. But I am concerned about that, and not least because it will affect people like me. So yeah, I do have a vested interest in that. I can be completely honest about that. But I've volunteered, I've used volunteers in the past, I've pioneered using volunteers in my organisation when we didn't have a volunteer policy. I'm a big advocate for helping people up the skills ladder, helping people into employment, helping people into a proper job so they can support their families and things like that. But I'm not in favour of using volunteers entirely at the expense of skilled and paid employees. So I just thought I'd mention that. I mean, I don't know if other people sort of feel the same way or other people have experience of that, but I would be interested to know and hear other people's comments. But I'm just having a break, having a pipe, and with all that in mind, I will leave you in peace.